Hey, welcome everybody. It is Wednesday, 7 o'clock, and time for Sci-Fi Distilled. Welcome back, Mary Beth, and welcome back, Phil, or I should say Captain Phil. What are you
Captain Phil.
exactly captain of, Captain Phil?
I'm captain of your heart, Rizzo.
Well, let's not, yeah. No. Okay, so let's try that again. What are you
It's a long story. It's a long story, but you open up this box. I used to be part of a sci-fi Star Trek nerd club back in the day.
No.
And so I decided I was going to be Captain Phil. Coincidentally, at the same time, there was a comic book, a one-shot that came out called Captain Phil as an Intergalactic Space Pals, which I actually own a copy of. And right around the time I went online for the very first time, around 1993, I chose as Captain Phil for whatever email ISP I was using. Captain Phil was always the first thing, or Cap Phil, CAPT Phil. So yeah, so that was I've always been Captain Phil. So in the words of Kosh, I have always been Captain Phil. There you go. Are you sorry?
Your ego was humble enough to not be Admiral Phil, I guess, or that's.
Oh no! I've watched Star Trek movies, and then nothing fun happens when you're the Admiral. Okay,
you've
got to be the captain.
Everybody wants to be the captain. That's true. I don't think you don't see when you go around these cons and Star Trek conventions, you don't see a lot of ensigns and lieutenants. You always see
you see captains, admirals, yeah,
everybody's a captain. So all right, fair enough.
Everybody's a captain.
So,
actually, one more thing. When I signed my family on for email addresses for the first time, everybody, Julia, Annette, well, Philip doesn't get an email address. Everybody was a captain. So
I thought you were going to
email my family members. They were all captains. Captain Annette, Captain Julia, we were all captains. Yeah.
Well, that's very nice. I figured you'd make them like first mate, XO,
ensign, yeoman.
No. Doesn't work that way.
So we are doing. This is kind of sci-fi. It's definitely dystopian, so I'll call it as
oddly. Sometimes listeners sci-fi. I'm not sure why, but
yeah, it's dystopian, no question about it. And this is one of your favorite films, Phil. So, and I know other people have asked about doing this one. So, and I had actually never seen it. I was aware of it. It was just one of those, not that I had anything opinion of it one way or the other. So we are doing V for Vendetta, which was 2005. You can believe that already. That was, wow, 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
He's 20 years old already.
The film goes in and out of relevance. So it was relevant. It kind of left relevance. It has returned to relevance.
This is true. And I'm going to kind of say, to our viewers that, normally we don't get political, but it's really going to be hard to stay away from
tonight.
I'm going to apologize in advance. So if I offend you, if my opinion offends you or something, it's all on me. It's not Sci-Fi Distilled's fault. It's my fault. Yeah. Yell at me, not these lovely.
Well, our opinions are our opinion. So, everybody has their own opinion. So, and we don't have an ABC or a Disney to.
No, we don't. We have no suits to come and yank us off the air.
Of course, nobody's watching us anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
And nobody's watching.
Because we're all
Jeff and Bill are here.
Yeah, Bill and Jeff are here. Thank you for joining us. All right, but before we get to that, I think we have some news.
The rest of the audience will be taken away by the Fingermen.
The Fingermen are coming to get us. All right, I got a little bit of news that we can discuss before we jump in with 2 feet. In Star Trek news, and this comment came at Star Trek Las Vegas, Rizzo. So I don't know if you're actually in on this panel or no, but Brandon Braga, you guys know who he is. He has writing credits on over 100 Star Trek episodes and 2 feature films, and became showrunner for Star Trek Voyager. He was on the Star Trek Voyager panel at Star Trek Las Vegas, and he was just talking about. He gave us a little Orville update too, which I will give you. But he was just talking about nowadays how the seasons are so short, and he is of the opinion that Star Trek should go back to, at least a 20 episode season. And I gotta say, I think I completely agree with him. He goes, the point he made is like, he goes to the audience. He goes, look at all of you. You're here because you know Voyager. You got to know Voyager. You got to know it really well because you had 22 episodes a season. Yeah. So you knew the characters, you knew the ship, you knew everything. Now, what can you really do with 8 episodes?
Well,
And
that's
he
that's
has a
that's the
point.
thing. I mean, it's not just that either. And we kind of talked about this before, but aside from the fact that you're relying on these 8-10 episodes to be very good, when you have 20 to 25 episodes, you can have those fun, silly
Bad
episodes
ones.
thrown in
Yeah.
there, or just not really a great one, and you don't really mind. The other problem I see with TV, it's not just the shortness of the seasons, it's the length between seasons that has become a problem. We started seeing it, like you said, way back with The Sopranos when we had to wait a year and a half or more, and it just got worse every show. You know, what was the Game of Thrones was almost like 3 years or something between.
Long
I mean, we're
stretches in
still
between. Yeah.
waiting for Stranger Things. That's been
Yep.
like 3 years since the last
Yep.
season. I mean, and what's happening is we're losing interest and
Yeah.
we're not as vested
You
in these
forget what
shows
happened.
as we
You don't
once
care anymore.
were.
Yeah.
When you had a show that had 25 episodes and it only dropped once a week, you know, you're getting through several months of programming where you're talking about these shows at the water cooler, and then the show ends and it might end on a cliffhanger or kind of an exciting ending, and we want to find out what happens in the next season. And the next season was only like really 3 or 4 months away because the next season would start in the fall or whatever, and so the momentum would keep going.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore. It's like we get 8-10 episodes of something, and then we got to wait a year and a half or more to get more of the content. And by that time, it's out of your brain. You know, you're
Yeah.
like, most of the time, if it's a show that's continuing, I go, what the hell happened? I mean, I don't even remember what happened in the last season. I mean, I got to go back and watch a primer or something. Anyway.
And then the studio makes the brilliant announcement that the show that you're anticipating and waiting for is going to get canceled after season 5. You know,
Right?
which I don't think
Yeah.
really helps the enthusiasm that you're invested in this thing. You know, and then they turn around and say, "Well, you're going to top it out at what is Strange New Worlds topping out at 45 episodes, 50 episodes? What is it?
Yeah,
You
something
know?
like that. I think
Yeah.
I don't know what
somewhere right
I don't know
now.
what Paramount's thinking is on that to begin with. Maybe the numbers just aren't as great as they liked. I don't know, but I do. One argument, counter argument to the shorter amount of seasons is I don't like shows that go on so long that they're beating it. Like there's just
Yeah.
nothing left. And you
When
know what?
when
It
it's
should have
really
ended. Like
obvious
I
the
think the
writers
best
have nothing
modern
else.
example of that was Walking Dead. They literally, that show was The Walking Dead at the end. I mean, it was just, it went on way too long. They were milking it, and then all the spin-off shows that were basically the same thing. It just, I'd rather see, like Mandalorian, we had like 2 to 3 good seasons. Even if Mandalorian, they said, look, we're just going to do these 2 seasons. Those first 2 seasons were great. Okay, good. We're done.
Yeah. Call it. Yep.
Even
Lost should have
Andor,
ended after.
I would love more Andor, but I'm okay with it because they wrapped it up. It had a fit.
Beautifully
Everything.
wrapped it beautifully.
Good.
Won an Emmy for it.
We had 20 great episodes. There really wasn't a bad episode in the bunch. I mean, there were some that were certainly better than others, but they were all compelling. And anyway, so I mean, we could have a whole show on that and get our panel together.
Yeah, we could.
But I think everybody agrees,
right.
So it wouldn't be much of a panel.
Let's move on.
Moving on.
Super fast. Brandon also said Orville update. He said Seth MacFarlane and I have been noodling. The word he used was noodling about season 4 for the Orville, but nothing's official. It's in our imaginations, but nothing is official. And more Star Trek news. Zachary Quinto has also started to say, "Hey, man, I'm ready to put the ears back on." He's talking about how keen he is to return to the role of Spock. He has talked about it. He's mentioned that he's talked to J.J. Abrams about it, and he's talked about it on the Today Show, Al Roker, and on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So he's ready to go.
That sounds like he needs the money. He needs a job.
He needs the money. He needs a job. In the chat, I dropped 2 links. One is the United States Postal Service is celebrating its 250th anniversary, and they will re-release a stamp from its most popular, and you can vote for them. And among them are Star Trek stamp, but there's also like Batman, Wonder Woman, DC Comics, Star Wars. There's a lot of really good stamps. So go ahead, go vote. Rick Moranis, he's out of retirement for Spaceballs 2, nearly 30 years since his last on-screen acting gig. I can't believe it. He is expected to reprise his role as Dark Helmet from 1987's Spaceballs. Game of Thrones announced, HBO announced 7 new projects for Game of Thrones, whatever. We're going to blow through that. And the last piece of news for tonight, I dropped the trailer in the chat. The Mandalorian and Grogu trailer has dropped. It is cute. I'm not quite sure what the plot is, but
I think the exciting,
I'm excited.
to me, the exciting part was to see Sigourney Weaver in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. We
And
all love Sigourney.
she had Grogu's number. She was like, nope, you can't eat that.
Yeah. She was trying to steal his candy or something, her candy or something. That's kind of funny. But yeah, no, I mean, it's great to see the crossover franchise. It almost would have been funnier if they'd stuck her in Strange New World somewhere with a Gorn thing. And then had a reference to, oh no, not again.
That would have been funny. Like if she was an admiral or something, and then she had
she had to have a not again funny moment. That would have been funny. But
God, they look familiar, but I can't quite place.
Yeah. Why these things? Yeah, I think I've seen this before. What you do is they're talking to her and they ask her, "Have you ever seen anything like this before?" And have her just kind of give a
Oh,
that would have been funny. There was potential, but the problem is these shows have no humor like that. They just
they really don't. I guess there's absolutely no way to either. There's no way.
Well, they could have been, but they canceled Lower Decks.
Yeah, Lower Decks would have been a good place for that.
Lower Decks would have been the place to do it. Yeah. All right, Riz, that's all I have for news tonight. Rizzo, what are we drinking as we get our vengeance tonight?
It's actually called V for Vendetta. They actually had a drink called V for Vendetta. Dark rum, cherry liqueur, freshly squeezed lemon juice, simple syrup, and a dash of bitters. That looks pretty darn good, actually.
Rum and cherry liqueur, I think that would be fine.
Yeah.
Are you saying V for Vendetta, the drink, could turn into D for drunk? Or E for or I for inebriated?
Well, you're gonna wear that's why you have the mask, so you can get drunk. You put the mask on, and nobody knows who you are.
No. Yeah, just stumble home, you'll be fine.
All right, let's get into it. Phil, this was your pick. One of your where you had, I think, requested to do this.
Begged.
Well, all right. Hey, you know what? I haven't seen. If I'm going to be like our illustrious president, I didn't bribe. You didn't have to bribe me.
I know. Well,
you just did it.
I could sue you for $50 billion or something, and then you cave.
This anyway. I have a love relationship with this movie, although at times you have to look at it seriously, because there are parts of me that say this is also a dangerous material, and if you take it too seriously, you can get yourself into serious trouble or just hurt somebody, because there have been instances where people watched this movie too many times and they went to their local government and started spraying veal over the walls, of where they met. So
The Mask is popular in protests.
Mask, well, yeah, actually, I heard something really funny about The Mask before we really get into the meat and potatoes here. That The Mask is copyright Warner Brothers.
Yes.
So now every time everybody wears the mask, they're basically like,
you're feeding the commercial. Yeah,
they've corporatized the protest. They're even making money off the protesters, and so that's kind of a little disturbing. And it's also the easiest cosplay you can do at a convention. If you really want to be lazy, you can put that mask on and walk around and that.
Yeah, but you gotta have the right.
Yeah, you get a little wig.
You gotta have the bangs,
The wig and the whole cape situation.
And the cape and the black and then sword.
He leaned into the Guy Fawkes of it, which is another kind of weird little irony that Guy Fawkes has become a symbol of revolution, since he is a completely failed revolutionary. He failed. He failed in his mission. Right. And he was hung, but he has now become the symbol of.
Well, and I think Phil brings up a very good point, that the simplistic nature of the film, and I don't mean that as a negative, but it is, when you look at the story, it is a very simplistic what politics would actually be, and how it wouldn't be this guy. He's almost superhuman. And the things
it's kind of almost implied he has Yeah.
And not even in the fights. I mean, if you take that, okay, he had armor on and stuff like that. But like how he cleared a train tunnel that apparently had been collapsed on purpose and was able to collect and then fix the train so that the train worked. And you know, and there's a lot of suspension of disbelief in this film, which is fine. And I just think, you know, have the one guy. And actually I was a little disappointed that his vendetta was really a personal one and not really about freeing the people, but more of his getting back at them. Those who hurt him.
I disagree. I think you have to look at it as the dominoes. And yes, he did lift that one domino at the end, but it's all of them. They're all part of that. And when he tips it over,
he needed them to accomplish his mission, was to topple the government that hurt him. So, but I mean, was he doing it? My argument was, he really doing it because he felt that the people should be free from this fascist government, or is it that he was really just he had a vendetta, he had a revenge, he wanted revenge on them?
The only verdict is vengeance. He says that at the beginning of the movie.
The other niggle I had
is inconsequential.
Let me just say, I did like the movie, so I don't want to make it like I'm trashing it, because I did like it overall. Was they kept showing this scene of him coming out of the burning building like he had been, and that's why we all know that we didn't see him, because he had been horribly burned, and there's no way he would have survived that.
Nobody. No, it's implied. When you hear her talk, that female doctor talk, and she was talking about, no, he was different. His cells reacted differently. It is kind of implied that somehow he
because most horrified. I mean, if you have third-degree burns over a certain percentage of your body, there's just no way you're surviving that.
It also kind of kills me that she was the worst to him. Like, she was the one actually doing the experiments on him, and he was kind to her at the end.
He treated her.
There's a difference there. There's a big difference there. First of all, she's the only female besides Evie.
And she said,
she apologized. She asked for forgiveness. She's the only one. Okay. Bill O'Reilly, I mean, at the beginning of the movie, the TV guy, he's in there in the shower crowing about, how wonderful he is. Creepy Creedy, he believes he's as the same level as V. We're like each other, you and I. You're not going to cry when I put you down. And it's like, he's absolutely wrong. He is nothing like V. He wants to be like V. He takes his masculinity and his power, put him in that level, but he's just a big bully. He's just an effing bastard, who's a sadist. But she realizes what she did wrong, so he goes easy on her. But the only verdict is still vengeance.
Before we dive a little deeper into this, I just want to mention that, so this was based on the graphic novel, B for Vendetta, by Alan Moore, and I can't think of the illustrator's name, I'm sorry.
David Lloyd.
Thank you, David Lloyd. Alan did not like this movie and completely dissociated himself from it.
Alan never likes any movie.
He never likes any, he did a bunch of them. Dark City, he did a bunch of them, and he doesn't like. And the thing of it is he's, in one interview, I heard him say, my graphic novel was about anarchy and fascism.
Yes.
And they don't even use those words in this movie. He said they defanged my story. My story was much more cutthroat. And to which I say, Alan, fear not. We all got the message. We got the message loud and clear. They didn't have to use those words. We got it.
Yeah.
And I think particularly now in the such current events, when we watch this movie and we're applying it to things we're actually seeing, we got the message loud and clear. Alan,
it's
and there's not in reality, there's not any true anarchy going on yet, and there may not be. There may not be. But
the graphic novel dives into that a little bit more. The movie did not at all, but it hit the fascism pretty hard, I thought.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, and I categorize this movie in my brain as an adolescent masturbatory liberal fantasy. Okay, it's like if I were to recreate the world according to my political leanings and stuff, I would love for it to happen this way. There is such a great amount of satisfaction
in the world. Yeah.
When he takes over the TV station,
and
the way he does it, and the way the people there are terrified of him. He's alone and they're crapping in their pants over him. It's great.
An entire
and it's
series
just so satisfying. But at the end of the day, you have to be an adult. You can't be an adolescent, and these
we're not going to email
only
Guy
go
Fawkes
so
Max.
far.
Email Guy Fawkes Max to everybody. Yeah.
That was the other thing. What was this guy's
amount of
funding?
satisfaction there. Go ahead, Riz. Sorry.
Well, I mean, that was the other thing that I thought was a little bit. They said he's mailed hundreds of thousands of outfits out by FedEx, their version of FedEx or whatever. And I'm like, hey, where did he get the money? Who manufactured?
Where did he get the money for any of that?
Yeah, it's like somebody
Rizzo.
had to.
Was he rich?
Rizzo.
FedEx would have gone, man. What is this weird shipping we got thing going on?
Rizzo.
He gets, and then you open it. What?
Rizzo, he gets his power from the yellow sun.
I mean, that's why I say there's a lot of suspension of disbelief in this, and it is simplistic because I think that those things, again, it's like Star Wars with the light speed. We don't care how they get there. Yeah, they got there, and that's the point. And I get that. I don't want to just. But these
the point is to make these bastards
in the back of my brain. It does niggle me in the back of my brain. I did like the way they would just drop enough information on history of how they got where they are.
Yes.
Of course, they do eventually spell out the whole thing with they created the virus to cure the virus, to basically enslave the people, blah, blah, blah. But the little references to the Civil War still going on.
Yes, the Civil War in the United States. Yeah.
I thought was interesting. I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? And that was then it was starting to spill over into the UK. Yes. And
it's just these little tiny moments of. You're right. It is uber simplistic, but the themes, the ideas, and he does say ideas are bulletproof. The ideas are there, and those are real. Those are not overly simplistic. Those are hard, like bedrock truth.
But like Star Wars, at the end of the movie, we don't see what happens next. We don't see the reconstruction. Does England fall into complete anarchy? Are the buildings being burned down? Is it a world warrior future or whatever? Are people, starving? Did the whole, society collapse? Or did they really replace this, because there are people in that government, the investigator who's investigating V and the whole thing.
The fingers and the ears and the eyes and the.
But he looks, he behaves. He has to listen to Sutter and Creedy and everybody. But
you can tell
he's with them. He understands. And at one point he says, well, it wasn't your mother Irish, as if Irish is a bad thing to be.
Threatening him. He's saying, I'll expose you as
clearly, Ireland must have opposed.
Absolutely.
John Hurt's character there, the prime chancellor, or whatever.
And Rizzo, what a great piece of stunt casting, right? The guy who was in 1984.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
John Hurt plays those roles so well. If he can go either way. He could have played. He always can be. Obviously, if you guys ever seen the film 1984, he plays the I forget the main character's name. But he plays the good guy, if you will, in that film. And then now here he is the bad guy, and he's the big brother, so to speak.
Yeah.
Of course, he's completely off his rocker. I mean, this guy is but again, it's so parallels because you could kind of see certain things happening in our own government when they had those little meetings and he's yelling at these people. But clearly the character of the prime chancellor is not a stupid person.
No. And I think
he's very smart, but he wants to hang on to his power.
But he has his network of people there who have all poised to take his place, as Creedy does at the very end of the film. Creedy thinks he's the next chancellor. Creedy thinks he is going to take out V at the end of the movie, and he will just start his reign, and it's not going to work that way. And you have to look at the character of V, and you're absolutely right. It was completely impossible for him to do 90% of what's in this movie. That's not the point. The point is the imagery. The point is that we're looking at it. It's like, the building is not important. The idea is important. The music is important. The freedom is important. And all those things are just so they go lock in. And the things that happen to Evie,
Well, yeah,
I mean, it's just
it's
beyond belief what happens to her, and she accepts it at the end of the movie, which is disturbing as
She
well.
was an interesting character because, of course, he kind of kidnaps her. Well, she's knocked out, but he rescues her, and then she seems like she's on his side. And then when she goes to the bishop,
priest,
that very creepy scene. And then when she says, "Oh, he's coming to kill you," I honestly at first thought that was part of the plan.
part of the bit.
Oh.
I did too.
And then I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute! No, she's really turning on him."
No, she made up that whole and that whole thing there. That whole when she was convincing him, I will help you, and this, that, the other thing. And I played Shakespeare. I was in Shakespeare plays. Like I wanted to be an actress. That was all put on. And I listened to we listened to the same thing, Mary Beth. I listened to the interview
the director.
with the director, and absolutely she was betraying him,
Yes.
and she wanted out. But where was she going to go? Because that's exactly what was going to happen. What happens to her in that cell, in that fake cell, is what would have happened for real, and she would have been killed at the end, and that would have been the end of it, for her.
Absolutely.
So, the thing about this movie that compels you, or at least, compels me, is it's a deep dive into the gray. It's morally ambiguous, not ambiguous, but like it's not black and white. It's not good and evil. It is hard gray. This man is a terrorist, but one man's terrorist is another man's revolutionary. He actually says sometimes violence is used for a good thing. He does horrible things to Evie, but it works.
Well, I mean, and that's always you're right, and but how we classify these people as patriot or terrorist depends on who wins.
On who
The
wins.
American
Well,
Revolution,
yeah.
the American Revolution, the patriots that were doing hit and run, attacks on the British were probably considered terrorists at the time, and now we consider them patriots.
But that to me is kind of the crux of the whole film. Is like how far are you pushed? Like it's the line. People shouldn't be afraid of the government. Government should be afraid of the people. How far do the people are pushed until they push back? How far do you have to be oppressed until you really start fighting back violently? Where's the line?
We start with canceling our Disney and Hulu subscription.
We all start by canceling Disney.
That's where it begins, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the whole movie for me. It's a deep dive into the gray. I love it. I love ambiguous. I love a good depressing film.
Yeah.
So.
It didn't honestly go where I thought it was. I mean, I thought it was going to be more because he starts basically the whole thing takes place over the year, right? Because it kind of starts on November 5th.
Yeah, it's a year.
And we end up back on November 5th. And
he's prepping for it, let's say 20 years.
Yeah,
so that puts him as escaping from the medical place.
This regime has been in power for 20 years. Yeah.
Right. No, I get that. He's been prepping for quite a while.
Yeah, Chris, do the ends justify the means. Yeah.
But
I mean, Mary Beth, how long did the big dig take to complete? But he's able to, single-handedly build a train tunnel.
That is a great
off the train thing that they just blocked the tunnel, like they didn't collapse the tunnel. Because there's no way without heavy machinery and everything, somebody would have noticed that somebody was trying to dig.
16 years, Phil.
The big dig never made any sense. They just said, "Well, we blew up the tunnels, therefore." Because the detective there, he was like, "Well, I have another theory that he might use the rail system to get to Parliament because the expert said it had to come by air."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Well, by train." We're like, "Well, we closed those or blew it, And I'm like, okay, so where did the detective get the idea that he was in the train system?
He knew they weren't collapsed.
So you could have that awesome scene at the end of the movie, Rizzo, where Natalie Portman says no and pulls the lever.
And he lets her in the detective.
Where did the detective get that idea from?
He knew that tunnels weren't collapsed. Which, if he knew that, he might have got to figure out where V was living.
No, they were collapsed. They were collapsed. It's like V.
Oh, that's right. V dug them out.
V dug it out.
Yeah.
That's a great question. How did he know that?
So how did the detective even begin to think that was how he was going to do it? And that I think was a little bit of a hole because it's like how did he know that? Like it would have been nice if he said, "Oh, we chased him down into an old what should have been a closed tunnel or something like that. Maybe him go, like they find they go up to a wall of debris that he couldn't have gotten through or something. And that maybe I don't know.
But it ruins the whole tempo because we're seeing the execution of Sutter and Creepy Creedy at the hands of V, and V's now mortally wounded, which is a brilliant sequence, and it has that that crazy slow motion ninja violence,
it is
Matrix
the
sort of thing, which is great because it engages the adolescent male. It really gets you going, but that's the candy. People are getting off on watching the violence and the fighting and everything, like it's a kung fu movie or something. But they're giving you this message, and the message is, when he's choking him at the very, very end, why won't you die? Because you can't kill an idea. So you have all the fanboys sitting there getting off on the flying knives and the slit throats, in glorious Technicolor, but it delivers the message. So
in the meantime, I'm sitting there going, "That's right. Government should be afraid of people."
Giving us the medicine, and what a brilliant scene! The gun revolving. It's just oh my god.
I want to talk about some of the cinematography because they do have some really odd shots that are just stuck in odd places. To me, well, there was the one shot where she goes, "I want to go outside," and it's raining, and all of a sudden there's this kind of Shawshank Redemption shot, like from above, where she's like in the rain, and it's like, and it just goes back to the regular point of view, and I'm like, that didn't really work for me. I didn't see the point of having that shot.
It was
I absolutely love that sequence, and I'll tell you why. She's undergoing the transformation. This is the complete transformation for her that has been brought about by V and his torture of her, and it mirrors his transformation. He's him by fire, her by water, and it's just punching that imagery, and it's like laying it on us with a 2x4. It's literally banging us over the heads, like, this is the message, boys and girls. And I relate it to Babylon 5, which I was talking to you about earlier, Mary Beth.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is the transformative scene in Babylon 5, Dust to Dust, when Jakar takes the drug and he rips what happened out of Londo's mind, and he's there in wherever the hell they are in Babylon 5, and he has the vision of his father dying, hanging from the tree, telling him, this is your part. This is going to be your part for the future. And at the end of it, Kosh engineered the whole thing. The camera pulls back, and there's Kosh. Kosh was the image. Kosh was the angel flying away at the end. In V for Vendetta, it's V. He made it. So the question is, it's a spiritual experience. It's a grand rearranging of someone's complete emotional, personal makeup. Is it real? Because hers and Jakar's were both engineered by an outside force.
It is real.
The question is, and I don't even know the answer to this question, to change that point of view, to change that direction of your life, does it belittle it? Does it make it less real if it comes from an outside source that's manipulating you? Because she was obviously manipulated by V. Jakar obviously manipulated by Kosh, who went on to become a great, even greater character than he already was in the show. Completely fantastic character arc. They're just brilliant. But was he a puppet on the string? Is she a puppet on the string?
It works. He's undoing. So they say after they got her parents, she spent like 5 years in whatever, ostensibly being brainwashed by the regime. So he's undoing that brainwashing by the regime. It works. It does work. It is real.
Well, she was also re-traumatized because the original, when she was, when her mother was taken, she was under the bed. That whole scene replayed out again. When she was under the bed, they bag her mother, and they take her away. And of course, then they find her under the bed. But then we have the scene where she's with the late night comedian,
Stephen Fry,
and
who I adore.
Jimmy Kimmel. That was Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, so she's with Jimmy Kimmel.
But the exact same thing happened to him. They came and they she was hiding under the bed. It was it was her as a child all over again.
Yeah.
So she was having this freak out kind of a moment where here we go again. So I think that was probably what drove her a little bit more off the edge.
Well,
she was scared. So when V grabbed her to start this process, she was in a great a very vulnerable psychological position for him to start that.
She's being raped for the second time in the movie, and plus she lost her brother, she lost her parents. She's in this thing, and she's she's not lying when she says, "I've been scared all my life." She's basically a ghost, and the thing that happens, it's almost too much when he gets taken, and she's under the bed for the second time. I think it's almost too much. It's like almost a psychological break for her.
I honestly didn't trust him at first. I thought he was going to somehow betray her.
Gordon?
Yeah, I didn't. Until he started showing her
everything in his house.
Well, after that, you're kind of like, okay, maybe. At first, I was like, he's going to turn her in or something. But then, he had the Quran and he had all the other stuff that he wasn't supposed to have.
Yeah,
and he was gay. Yeah, that I think but at first, when I first went over there, I'm like, that probably wasn't a smart move. I was waiting for her to turn her in.
Just a little side note. I love so hard the scene at the end where they're all taking off their masks and you see Stephen Fry, you see the little girl, you see the actress whose name I don't remember, and her Ruth, and you see all of them. It's all of us.
Yeah, because
you have to accept the brutality of V. When you look at the little girl with the glasses, that's the brutality of V. He knew someone was going to get killed.
And the inspector says it. They go, what's going to happen? And he says, well, it's chaos out there. And so how does he put it? Something's going to happen. And the kid gets shot. And then the crowd is forming. And the guy says, what's going to happen? And it's the same thing that always happens when a group of unarmed people come up against a group of armed people.
Yeah.
This time
it's an intense sequence because even though it's a small part, you love that little kid. She's awesome, and when she gets shot in the back by a coward.
Running away. And she's in pink. She is wearing the mask.
She's obviously a child.
Clearly a child with glasses over the mask and pink. Yeah. She's wearing pink. And he still shot her.
Yeah.
And that's and that is how parallel are we seeing things like that with ICE and all these other masked people doing horrible things to people. And again, it's the parallels.
It's precious.
Although this movie was simplistic, the parallels to what's been happening in this country is.
And the
like I said, I think people. I don't.
The
funny thing is, I knew people that are on the right side that were kind of championing this film during like the Biden administration or the Obama administration. And I kind of laugh now, especially after seeing the film. Like, that was not a fascist regime.
Well, I have to tell you, it's funny you say that, Rizzo, because I fell in love with this film during the Bush era when we went to war with Iraq. And that's really where it hit me. But I also watched it during the Obama administration, and I was very, I'm going to get political here, folks, so we should plug your ears. I was very disturbed that Obama wouldn't go after the telecom companies for telecom immunity when they were tapping everybody's phones after 9/11. And that was something Obama, the liberal Obama, did. And, I mean, he doesn't get a blank check for me, just because he has a D after his name. But it fits for any administration, this whole thing. It really does.
We're at a point of lesser of evils. Much lesser of evils.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's where, in my opinion, we're at as a country. Yes, no side is perfect.
Because we will never have altruistic people in office.
But
I just don't think we ever will.
Part of the problem. I mean, it's never been about oh, this is the guy or this is the girl that's going to fix everything, and we're going to have this utopian life under this person leadership. It's just not nearly as bad. It's kind
Oh,
of
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing went in the toilet when they passed Citizens United, but we're going off the beam here a little bit.
Yeah, Dennis
but,
and anyone else joining us late, we had a little warning at the top of the show. There will be conversations of a political nature during the course of the show,
that's right.
given that we're doing.
And if you get mad about it, it's my fault. Blame me. This guy right here.
It's fine. You know, we all are entitled to our opinions. Whatever it is, everybody, that is the point of free speech, is that everybody's you have your say, and everybody, you know.
You're all entitled to my opinion. Absolutely.
As long as you agree with Phil, you have to agree with Phil.
As long as you agree with Phil, it's gonna be okay.
As long as you agree with Phil, everything's okay. No, but seriously though, there is some parallels, and it's kind of frightening. Again, what I meant with simplistic is the basic story is, you know, how they like you said, Phil, it's like, okay, they had this thing, and all within a year now the whole country, okay, right, what happens next? So you have these hundreds of thousands of people flooded into London. They watched the Parliament explode. Now what?
Now they have the freedom to choose what they want to happen next. So they're gonna have
military, obviously,
they're gonna have to still do it as a group, which I know kind of sucks.
Yeah, but I guess the key is, I guess surely we assume there would be changes, but the military was still in. The only reason the military didn't open fire is because there was nobody there giving them orders to do so.
I don't believe. Maybe that would happen in this movie, but I think in reality, I think they would have order and order. They would have pulled the trigger.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah. Especially a military that had been under that regime and used to that regime's kind of orders.
Say that. Yeah. I mean, well, again, they're probably, you know. We look what happened on January 6th again, to look at parallels. I was always amazed that those officers didn't open fire on that crowd when they were storming that building. It amazed me. I'm glad that they didn't, because it would have been a bloodbath, and it would have been way worse than what it had been. I mean, but think about it. If you're a police officer and you have these people literally about to overrun you, and you have a firearm, I mean, it took a lot of control, I think, for them not to do that.
I think, that's a separate debate, but I think it goes to the patriotism and the pledge of those officers not to harm citizens.
The way I agree with you, Phil. The way that movie framed it, though, is like it came down to that one commander to sort of make the decision for himself, and because he was staring down people, like he saw people, and he couldn't bring himself to fire. It kind of actually, for some bizarre reason, reminded me of a story, and I'm probably gonna botch this. So somebody else knows this story, can tell it better. Let me know. Back in the day, something went awry either on our side or on the Russian side, and the Russians were reading incoming nuclear missiles, and it came down to one guy sitting at his, like, with his key to decide, no, this is a glitch, this isn't really happening, and he didn't, and he saved us all. Like, he literally saved the world. And I wish I knew that story a little better. I could try to Google it for you guys if you're interested. But that's kind of what that moment reminded me of. It just reminded me of, like, that one commander that they showed. And the other guy was like, what do we do? And he was like, hold fire. And
it's like what happened with the investigator too. They have that moment where there is a shred of morality inside them that he doesn't want to shoot.
They found their own inner morality.
And in a small way, it's the same transformation that Evie had gone through, that V had gone through at the beginning, where this situation has push them in this direction where he's not going to fire on innocent people like the other Fingerman, the other people did. The beginning of the movie, they're gonna capture and abuse Natalie Portman.
Notice there were no brown people.
Shot the girl in the back. But he had, and then you dial it back a little more. I forget his name. The investigator. He accepts what Evie does at the train. He lets it happen, and he knows in the back of his mind through the whole thing, this stinks to high heaven, and he's just a cog in this machine to keep these bastards in power. You know, he's just there, and the minute and Simmons doesn't want him, he doesn't like him. and he's going to replace him in a heartbeat. That's why he brings
Well,
Creedy in.
I think that the detective goes through a bit of a transformation himself.
Yeah,
I think
as he
over
kind
the
of starts
course of that
connecting
year, I
dots.
think
He's connecting dots,
as
yeah.
he's investigating the whole thing, I think he's starting to see that even though he says something, I've been a party member for whatever 20 something years or whatever it is, and I think he's starting to realize that by the end when he finally confronts Evie that he's made a mistake and that this is about it's very corrupt.
Or he's just trying to survive. He's a truly unhappy, lonely man. He's alone. The scenes with him in his apartment, he's by himself.
Yes,
He has nothing. The way they talked about his mother, he's basically Evie. He's another victim of this regime, where he's lost everything, and at the bottom of it, he is afraid, but then what's the line? You have no more fear. You're free to go.
You're free. Yeah.
You're
I
free.
just want to drive one point home though. I'm not painting that one commander or captain or colonel, whatever he was, as a hero, not in any way, shape, or form, because he certainly did despicable things in the name of the regime before. And I don't know why he's changed now. But again, I told you how much I love Gray. Love Gray. He was on both sides of the line.
Well, you must love Darth Vader, because Darth Vader got an entire redemption after he committed genocide on an entire population.
I don't know how I feel about the prequels, but I liked Clone Wars and that depiction. Martin is saying to check out another movie called The Man with the Dangerous Lens. I had never heard of it, Martin. I will check that out and see what that's out. Oh, and Christopher is saying that War Games, I was talking about the Russians, the War Games opened with a similar scene. Yeah, it did. I'd kind of forgotten that. I'll have to go back and rewatch.
I'm catching up on the comments a little bit. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
apparently I'm cool, and I'm not holding back what I think.
We do have some fail safes put in place. I hope as far as launching that type of thing, and it's not one person that has that decision to make. So they purposely do that so that one person can't, obviously.
Yeah.
Even if somebody of an orange complexion decides to do something crazy, there are still checks and balances even on that.
Knock on wood, hopefully, yes.
Yeah. We hope it all works out as it's supposed to. Of course, I don't think they plan for somebody quite as
Sean Connery, Martin?
Unstable. It stars Sean Connery. Oh, the one he's talking about.
Man with the Dangerous. Sorry, I'm looking it up now. Anyway, back to V.
So, I think in the graphic novel, it keeps going. The graphic novel, after all stuff, and Evie at the end of the graphic novel, rescues someone the same way she was rescued at the beginning of the story. So it goes in that direction. What did I want to say? I want to say two things. I know we're getting a little late here. I want to make two other points.
You're fine.
Okay. One of the things I noticed this time around watching it, and I get something out of it, like I watched it during the Biden administration, basically after we had gotten, the COVID stuff, sent to everybody, the vaccines, and the entire St. Mary's stuff really played differently in my mind when we all had gotten through COVID together. Like I said before, I watched the movie multiple times during the Bush administration. It bothered me somewhat during the Obama administration. This time, though, it kind of like came back into my heart, because when I watched it 6 months ago, or maybe 8 months ago, it was really rubbing me the wrong way, and I was like, I don't think this aged well. And then this week when I watched it, it really kind of like hit home. I do want to say there are no people of color in this film, as far as I can tell, except for two scenes.
And they're both the before times.
The scene at the concentration camp, there's a person of color, being tortured and experimented on. And in the reminisce of the actress, the lesbian actress, there's a couple of gay men who have been who get attacked and abducted out of their bedroom, and I believe they're both men of color. So otherwise, it's a lily white picture. You know, and that's
I
just
think that's
society.
you would agree
Courtesy
that's
of
intentional, though.
Say again.
That's part of the fascist regime is that it's all white.
Yes, and it's a message.
Aryan,
It's a message that I didn't really
that Aryan
consider.
nation kind of thing, going on. That that's clearly that they
It's something
probably
I didn't really see
got
until this
all the
time. Yeah,
people of color out of the country. England is predominantly I mean, anybody who's of
England's
color
pretty mixed
in the
now.
UK is immigrated or their family immigrated.
Yeah.
So
minor side note: the graphic novel. It's actually not a virus. It somehow the States gets into a nuclear war, and for some reason Africa's gone. I don't know why, but Africa is just gone. So yes,
Alan Moore was writing this because he was rebelling against Thatcherism, Margaret Thatcher, and that.
Yes,
era,
he was trying to rebel against Margaret Thatcher. Yes,
and I believe this is like even during the Falklands. The thing that was happening in the Falklands and all that stuff. It's ancient history now.
I love that this movie, this Andor and this movie have so much like. How is V really any different from the people that he's fighting? In some ways, he is condemned to use the tools of his enemies. He is fighting for a sunrise he'll never see. Like both shows, there are a lot of parallels. That would be fun to kind of dig into.
I think the difference is with Andor, of course, is he's not out for revenge. He really wants he wants to get rid of. He truly wants to get rid of the Empire. Whereas V clearly, I mean, yes, he's doing it for the people, but he's really, I still feel he's doing a lot of it for himself.
V has no choice. They created a monster. They set him down this path, and that was it. Once he had that transformative moment in the fire, that was it. This is where it was going to end, and it only could end with him dead in the train. That's the way it was going to go. And he was either going to be him driving the train alive and get blown up, or he was going to, the way it ended with Evie putting him in the train. But that's the only way it could ever go. And he knew that throughout. The thing he couldn't deal with was the fact that he rescues Evie, and for a certain extent, he pretty much falls in love with her. But he can't. It's unrequited love.
Right.
They fall in love with each other. They can't go anywhere.
I think part of too why he tortured her again was to test her in some ways and to. But I think he was also passing the torch or the mantle to her.
Yeah, it's more of a mentee mentor
in his because he, again, like you said, he knew he wasn't going to survive it one way or the other.
At the end, she's his equal, not a love interest.
Oh yeah,
just
absolutely.
Another fighter in the war.
Absolutely. It's thrilling to watch. It's tragic. It's romantic in terms of like it's like an adventure, like they used to call science fiction scientific romances, meaning it's a scientific adventure. And this is like this sort of thing. It's this sort of it's like the Errol Flynn movie that drops into the middle of the picture.
Oh yeah, they're watching the Errol Flynn movie.
Are
they watching the Count of Monte Cristo? What are they watching?
Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah.
She calls him Edmund Dantes or Drantes, whoever the character's name is from Count of Monte Cristo at the end.
Yeah.
He was my father, my mother, my brother. He's you. He is me.
Yeah.
He is Gordon. He is Sutter.
One thing we didn't really talk about was Hugo Weaving as V, and
was he not awesome?
What a great performance for somebody who you never saw see.
And he didn't start the movies. James Purefoy started it, and I don't know what was going on, but James Purefoy left the project, and they brought Hugo in, and he was brilliant. Like his body language, he used body language that whole film, and he was genius.
It was incredible.
Actually, Natalie Portman's good too.
His voice was.
I was wondering, was this Natalie Portman's first film after she finished the trilogy?
Yes,
it was one of the early ones. Yeah.
Yes, because that's how not James McTeagan, not the director, but the cinematographer, Adrian Biddle. That's how he knew her, because he had worked on somehow one of the. Was it him or was it?
So
the director did work on.
Maybe it was just Joel Silver. It was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a film called Free Zone right before this, or the same time, and then Star Wars Episode Revenge of the Sith also is 2005. So she kind of did all these simultaneously.
Maybe it was James McTeague.
Yeah.
See, I see Natalie Portman. First of all, Hugo Weaving is brilliant, and I wish Tobey Maguire in the first 3 Spider-Man movies had listened to him and just left the damn Spider-Man mask on, because he's just incredible with this. And in those original 3 Spider-Man movies, he's constantly taking the mask off. It's like everybody in New York knows you're Spider-Man. We know Peter Parker, you got the mask off every 5 minutes, which I think is ridiculous.
Oh, they had decided before they started shooting, he's not taking the mask off at any point during this movie.
And it's perfect.
There would be no point. I mean, all we see is a horribly burned person, right? I mean, it'd be, you know.
And again,
I thought at one point he might.
He's an idea. It doesn't matter.
But we got the idea because he was cooking without his gloves on.
Yeah. That's all we need to know.
I mean, we know, and then of course we see the scenes with him.
And then flashback. We get the idea,
Yeah.
Bill is reminding us that the Savage Curtain also points out the same thing. Good and evil both use the same tools.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you have to. It's the old adage: you have to fight fire with fire.
Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire.
So
one man's terrorist is another man's revolutionary.
So overall, I mean, kind of starting to wrap things up. I liked this movie. I enjoyed it. It did have some twists that I didn't see. I thought there would be more terrorism in the year.
Well, blowing up blowing up the parliament wasn't enough terrorism for you?
No, I mean, but that was at the very end. I thought between the first.
And blowing up O'Bailey, that was terrorism at the very beginning. Nothing in the middle.
That's what I'm saying. When he took
over Fox News, when he took over Fox News, that was pretty terrifying.
Yeah, that was
pretty terrifying.
I mean, it was good. I just thought there was going to be more. And then it kind of took this weird turn. With him just assassinating, kind of going through and picking off people that he didn't like or that had.
I mean, the horrible monster that lives within me was extremely satisfied as each of those people got what was coming to them. You know, the bullet in the head,
I think
the broken neck,
never that,
you know, the death in the shower, you know, the humiliating death in the shower. They were put down like mad dogs. You know, and it was so sad. I loved it. And I'm sorry, that makes me a horrible person. But I really, really love that. And
What did you call it, Phil, at the top of the show? Liberal masturbatory.
It's an adolescent masturbatory liberal fantasy. You know,
sign me up.
Because you know, and I don't want to give masturbation a bad name because it's sex with someone I love, you know. But thank you, Woody Allen. But it's that sort of thing where you know, this whole thing is it's very self-serving because it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to be a liberal and just see, we're basically all Charlie Brown trying to kick the football.
At the bottom
yeah, I need a crawl that we don't really. Okay, we don't need any more detail on that.
Yeah. Well, I do want to
remember is that political assassination, as we are seeing, is not the right way to go about things.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it's also
don't want to encourage it, and I'm certainly not. Nobody's advocating that we should go around.
No one's advocating it, but there comes a point.
But we're not at that point. I would like to see these people prosecuted and actually pay for their crimes.
Sure. Yes, see them rot in jail. That would be lovely.
That would be nice. But
when you muzzle the justice system, things. That's what happened.
I agree, and that's what's scary, and that's why it's getting scary because I think we are heading to a crisis point in this country if things do not change.
Well, I do have before you close it down, I do have an uplifting, positive story that I have to tell you, very personal story about this movie. And the story is this, and it always touches me every time I watch this movie.
About masturbating.
It is not about masturbation. That's next week's show. But
on your channel, not mine.
Yeah, every show,
that's
every one of my every one of my shows is about.
That's the free form.
So, a dude sitting in a room by himself playing music that only he loves. Yeah.
All right, we're good.
So anyway, this point is that when I was growing up, my father loved the 1812 Overture. My father, in his 1970s gold Ford LTD, had a freaking 8-track player, and he would buy the cheapest 8-tracks at the cheapest places. He had a copy of the 1812 Overture on 8-track, recorded by the South African Orchestra. Okay. And he would play it, and the thing was wired wrong. So if you stepped on the gas, the music would speed up. You follow what I'm saying here? And we would go to on 4th of July. We would go to the concert in the park on on the beach, in the park on Long Island. And the Long Island Symphony would play the 1812 Overture with fireworks at the end. And I watched this movie. My father died in 1995, I think it was 96. So I saw this movie after he was gone for a few years. And to hear that music, all I can think about is him. So I love that this music is, and I say to myself, my father, I don't know if my father would like the movie or not like the movie. My father was a product of his times, but my father was also Antifa. My father went to Germany and fought the fascists, and he won my mother. That was his prize. Okay. It was well earned, but he loved that piece, and I can't watch this movie without thinking of him. So when you hear the 1812 Overture again, I want you to think of my dad, Philip H. Merkel, all right, and how much he loved that. And I think he would have loved this movie. He definitely would have loved the explosions, and the blowing up, and he probably would have sided with V at some point as well. He might have agreed here and there occasionally with the TV host. Oh, and he would have loved the Benny Hill music and Gordon's show. But anyway, I can't watch this movie, even with all the political stuff. I can't watch this without thinking of him. It brings him back to my life. So I love this movie for that as well. So there you go. Isn't that nothing about masturbation there at all?
Thank you. We appreciate that. All right. So pretty much the end of the hour. So next week, so here's what I don't know. Strange New Worlds just wrapped. Do you guys want us to do a show on this past whole season of Strange New Worlds?
The whole show? Do you just want an opening segment?
Critiquing it, or do you want us to just skip that entirely and just do Ghostbusters 2 and start with?
Because next week starts Halloween month.
It's right. So you guys,
Ghostbusters.
I vote Ghostbusters 2. At this point, I'm ready to let.
That's totally fine. I know we'd kind of promised we were going to do a Strange New World kind of wrap up.
We did say it, and then.
But I'm happy to do.
We can do it instead of news. Like no news next week. We'll just take 15-20 minutes and just do the season of Strange New Worlds.
All right, we can do that. So we'll do Ghostbusters 2. What does our friend
Roy is doing? They Live finally, I guess, because he was going to do it before he went to Los Angeles, and then I guess it didn't happen. So Friday, September 26th at 7 p.m. They will be Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi. Roy and Ross will both be back to discuss the 1988 sci-fi cult classic horror film They Live.
Put on the sunglasses.
Right.
Put on the sunglasses. Yeah. Phil, what do you got going on Captain Phil's Planet and the Freeform?
It's a very busy week this week. I'm going on 30 minutes early at 3:30 tomorrow to interview Matt Heimowitz, who is a cellist, and we're going to talk about this particular piece he has coming out, and I will try to pronounce it's the Schnittke. I can't pronounce it. Cello Concerto No. 1. He's going to show me how to pronounce that. So that's going to be from 3:30 to 4 o'clock. Then at 4 o'clock, I'm going to go back into the progressive rock world and have Stephen Hogarth of the band Marillion. This is the big league, guys. This is a big deal. Talk to me about his upcoming time at Progstock, which is coming up in October, while you guys are talking about Ghostbusters. And then on Friday Night Freeform, I will probably play the 1812 Overture.
Okay, play it in honor of V for Vendetta. We'll come on the Friday Night Freeform and have this conversation all over again.
That'll be fun.
Anyway, all right. So on that note, we will wrap it up. Thank you, Phil, for joining us as always.
Thank you for indulging me. This is one of my favorites. I've been lobbying for this for a long time, and I'm glad you brought me in on this. I loved it, and Yes, definitely. The only verdict for this film is vengeance.
Vengeance.
All right. All right. So on that note, we'll say good night, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you always.